March, book 3. When I spoke at the March on Washington on August 28, 1963, I said, "One man, one vote is the African cry. It is ours too. It must be ours." Became the rallying cry for the students, for the young people, for the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So after the bombing of the church in Birmingham, on September 15th, 1963, we intensified our efforts in Selma, Alabama. In Selma, only 1% of African American of voting age were registered to vote. In Selma, there was a sheriff by the name of Jim Clark, who wore a gun on one side, a nightstick on the other side, and carried an electric cap router in his hand. He didn't use it on cows. We made a decision to march from Selma to Montgomery, to dramatize to the nation and to the world that people of color wanted to register to vote. So after a beating and a shooting in a little town of Marion, Alabama, we made a decision to march. Sunday, March 7, 1965, 600 of us left a little church, lined up in twos, to walk the 50 miles from Selma to Montgomery. Made it across the bridge. And a major spoke up and said, "I'm Major John Cloud of the Alabama State Troopers. This is an unlawful march. You will not be allowed to continue. I give you 3 minutes to disperse and return to your church or to your home." The young man walking beside me, Jose Williams, said, "Major, give us a moment to kneel and pray." He said, "Troopers advance." I said, "Major, may I have a word?" He said, "There will be no word." You saw these men putting on their gas masks, came toward us, beating us with nightsticks, bull whips, trampling us with horses, and releasing the tear gas. Was hit in the head by a state trooper with a nightstick. Had a concussion at the bridge. I thought I saw death. I thought I was going to die. They called us Selma. We got the Voting Rights Act in 1965, signed into law by President Lyndon Johnson. March, book 3.
Thank you, Congress. I'm going to take us back to September 18, 1963, 3 days after the bombing of 16th Street Baptist Church. In the sanctuary of that same church were the funerals of 4 girls murdered by the white supremacists in that bombing: Addie Mae Collins, Carol Robertson, Cynthia Wesley, and Denise McNair. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speaks. This afternoon, we gather in the quiet of the sanctuary to pay our last tribute to these beautiful children of God. These children, unoffended, innocent, and beautiful, were the victims of one of the most vicious and tragic crimes ever perpetrated against humanity. And yet they died nobly. They are the martyred heroines of a holy crusade for freedom and dignity. And so this afternoon, in a real sense, they have something to say to each of us in their deaths. They say to us that we must be concerned not merely about who murdered them, but about the system, the way of life, the philosophy which produced the murderers. John Lewis reflects. We all knew what Dr. King meant. Governor George Wallace had started his term declaring segregation forever. and 2 weeks before the bombing, he was quoted in the paper saying, "What this country needs is a few first-class funerals." Unless we could give all its citizens a political voice, Alabama would continue to elect people like George Wallace. That evening after the funeral, Diane Nash and I met with Dr. King to present a plan. She and James Bevel were now married and raising a little girl of their own. News of the bombing had shaken them up so badly that she came to Birmingham to propose an all-out revolution. Diane Nash speaks. Dr. King, when children are murdered, we can tell people not to fight only if we offer them a way by which justice can be served without violence. Some in SCLC, the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, had talked about marching to Montgomery to place a funeral wreath on the Alabama State House, but Diane's plan went far beyond. Her action in Montgomery would recruit a nonviolent army of thousands of young people to pour into the city, cutting off roads, trains, airports, phone lines, electricity, and local businesses until the state government was completely shut down. There were two objectives: force Governor Wallace out of office and allow every adult in Alabama to vote. Dr. King responds, "I agree, Diane, but an undertaking of this magnitude would take significant resources." Diane speaks, "We have to do something. We have to give people a direction, a constructive outlet for their pain and frustration." Dr. King speaks, "And we will, but not this way." John Lewis reflects, "I wasn't angry with Dr. King. I knew he had other concerns to weigh, but we couldn't do nothing. We had to respond, even if it was just SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, acting on its own, as we had many times before. So we decided to step up our activities in a small city in Dallas County, deep in the Alabama Black Belt, where Bernard Lafayette and others had spent the last year organizing to register black voters. Selma.
I appreciate your patience with us going over the 3 minutes. My father was a Muslim immigrant, so I'm pretty sure I won't end up in anybody's cabinet. October 7th, 1963. In Dallas County, you could only register to vote on the first and third Mondays of the month. So while I, John Lewis, was in jail, SNCC decided to use the next voter registration day to stage its largest mobilization yet. The effort quickly found a name: Freedom Day. James Baldwin. The federal government is not doing what it is supposed to do. Even renowned author James Baldwin came with his brother to support those in line. It was hot, but no one was allowed to leave the line for water or to use the bathroom. Even if they could, the colored bathrooms had been locked. At noon, the registrar of voters left for a 2-hour lunch break. Vroom! By that time, thanks, buddy. By that time, only 12 people had been admitted to see the registrar. 15 minutes later, the Alabama State Troopers arrived. Vroom. Thud, thud, thwash. Major Joe Smelly, that's his real name. Major Joe Smelly was the trooper in charge that day. If any of y'all leave that line for any reason, if you have to go to the bathroom or you're thirsty, any reason whatsoever, you're not coming back here. You're not coming back, you hear? And you agitators, you're not allowed to bring them anything. No food, no water. It became a battle of wills. After a few more hours, some folks standing in line were looking like they might collapse. Sheriff Clark, finally Jim Foreman, and Amelia Boynton, a local businesswoman who had been organizing registration efforts here for decades, good man, made an appeal. Sheriff Clark, these people could die. Let us bring them some water. Some haven't had anything to drink in 5 or 6 hours. Sheriff Clark, it doesn't seem like a very Christian thing to let people drop dead on your courthouse steps. But if they're so thirsty, and they can get out of line and get something to drink. Ain't nobody stopping them. But if I see any of you N-words trying to bring up anything, if I see you so much as talking to them, I'll arrest you for molesting people trying to register to vote. The SNCC field secretaries Avery Williams and Chico Neblett couldn't wait any longer. Thud, thwap, zzz, thrash. Still, the line held, and no one left. That's it. 4:30. The courthouse is closed. To us, making it through the entire day without a mass arrest was progress. Though only a few people were able to see the registrar, we felt it was a victory. I'll just say this. I just got back from a campaign. I took off and went down to Georgia, where I grew up. And I saw this exact same thing happening in the state of Georgia. They weren't allowed to bring food or water or what they call comfort items to people standing in line to vote. I was comforted by the fact that we weren't fighting a registration battle. We were fighting the battle to vote, of actually showing up and having enough precincts. So we made progress, but we are not there yet. Thank you.